This is a super rare storm that's moving across the Gulf Coast, putting snow in areas that haven't seen snow in decades. Some places, I don't know the last time you've seen snow this far south. And not only that, we're looking at some really cold air that could challenge 100-year-old records. That will be pretty wild to watch, especially if we get a snowpack on the ground across Louisiana. The rest of the country, you're going, well, there's nothing going on here. Well, we've got a slew of warnings across the south. Sure. What happens after this? We're going to talk about toward the end of the month. There's a significant change coming, and it could be a warm-up. That could also put some cold air and some storminess across the west where it's been fairly dry lately. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Thousands of you have subscribed lately. Thank you guys so much if you've done so. If you're brand new, if the algorithm's hitting you, it means maybe you'd like this channel. I'm Travis. Welcome to the channel. I used to be a meteorologist many years ago on television. I got out of that business and started making videos on YouTube. Just over the years, I missed doing forecasting, so here we are. So if you think you'd like this content, I hope you will consider subscribing and come back. Winter storm warnings now from South Texas up to Austin, San Antonio, Houston, over into Louisiana. It does include Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, over to Lafayette, and New Orleans, Gulfport, Mississippi, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. This is wild to see winter storm warnings this far south, now including Montgomery, Alabama, Columbus, Georgia, Warner Robins, all the way up to Macon. It does include you. You have a winter storm warning. It goes south of Valdosta, so all of middle and southern Georgia under a winter storm warning, and for the panhandle of Florida, from Tallahassee east, not quite to Jacksonville, but right on your door here. Either way, you've got these winter storm warnings north and east now up to Charleston and Savannah. So winter weather on the way in this region. We're going to talk about the precipitation that's on the way. Let's start off with what's going on here across the south. This snow, ice, sleet, and freezing rain will move east on Tuesday. As we move into the day Tuesday, it'll start to really pick up here across parts of Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. And that snow banding could get really heavy. I will tell you, there's been a slight shift to the south, so that may mean more snow for the panhandle of Florida at this point. However, the problem, I think, will also be freezing rain. With a shallow layer of cold air as you get closer to the panhandle, that's going to really cause a problem with your precipitation types. And then this moves off to the east, and then high pressure builds in with some cold air across the east coast. So let's look at snow totals really quickly, then we'll move along fairly fast. This is the actual forecast numbers from the National Weather Service. Close to 4 to 5 inches in the forecast for Houston. Look at these precipitation types over South Texas. A lot of ice and freezing rain showing up. Ice in the form of sleet, and then snow up here toward Houston. And I think that happens as our low deepens. We cool the column enough that we get a good saturation layer where you get those snow crystals to grow. You've got to have that between 10 and 20 below Celsius in the atmosphere. If you don't, sometimes you end up with super cooled water droplets and you get this ice that we're seeing here. So that's another thing. The HRRR model is trying to resolve some of those ideas. And then as we head into Tuesday, we're done. I will tell you also, there's going to be quite a bit of freezing rain in some areas. I don't know where that's going to set up, but all of these areas across South Texas, the official forecast is for at least a couple hundredths of an inch of freezing rain, and then higher amounts now showing up here in extreme southern Texas. Off to the east, I was reading some discussions. I don't remember what weather forecast office it was from. It may have been in the warnings, but it was talking about, some of these areas could be cut off for days. Because if you get snow and you get 7, 8, 10 inches of snow, which is certainly on the table at this point across southern Louisiana, there's not an infrastructure in place to remove that snow. That's the same thing over here in the panhandle of Florida. Some areas don't even have the snowplow in the county. There's nothing. So if you're waiting for all of this to melt, which is what one of the advisories that I saw come out, they were talking about, just be ready to wait a couple of days because no one's going to be pushing the snow off the roads. So let's hope that that's not the case. A bit of a southerly shift to the snow keeps the snow way to the south now, right here along the panhandle of Florida, right here, Gulfport, over to Tallahassee. And there may be some mixing here into North Florida too, and it may be overdoing some of the precip type here. Snow totals, the forecast now, it's certainly a little bit higher, 6 inches. You don't see that every day for New Orleans. And then back here to central Louisiana, those numbers really fall off really once you get here into central and north Mississippi. Almost nothing here above this line, but a couple of inches right along the Gulf Coast with some ice too. And then once you get that snowpack on the ground, this is what I think is another dangerous aspect of what's happening here. This area of the country isn't prepared for this. It's not made for temperatures in the single digits. I don't know that we get that cold The newest European, a little bit milder, I guess, still in the lower teens here. You got a fresh snowpack on the ground, clear skies, calm winds. You're not going to get the influence of the Gulf here, and now you could get some dangerously cold weather here. You talk about pipes bursting and problems. That would be that problem. And take a look at the HRRR. It's really, really hefty with this snow band. I mean, the pink here, that's better than 10 inches of snow showing up. And then those numbers increasing, too, here across Florida. I mean, if we get 4.5 inches of in Panama City, that's something. I think it's probably going to be closer to 2 to 3. But either way, there's been a drastic shift to the south with the newest model runs here with the snow, limiting its northern progression here. Let's look at the official forecast, which is still reflecting some lighter snow to the north, up towards Macon, about an inch or so, and then over toward the coast. Numbers have went up just a little bit here as far as snow goes into Georgia and South Carolina, and the ice potential still high here across North Florida and southern Georgia. Up along the coast of North Carolina, this is one of the reasons I think that you're starting to see the totals come up right along the coast. The new European from this afternoon showing a little bit more snow here. And this isn't a heavy dump of snow, but one would argue, if you get 5 inches of snow out at Cape Hatteras, that's kind of significant. All right, back up toward the Great Lakes. The lake effect snow is going to continue here through most of the week, and this disturbance here will actually bring some widespread lighter snow as we head toward Wednesday and Thursday. Accumulation will be pretty significant, again, downwind of the lakes. Not a lot of fetch here off of Lake Michigan with this westerly flow, but there will be off of Lake Erie and Ontario where that snow will really start to pile up in the order of feet. Some areas could see 2-3 feet of snow, especially up towards the Tug Hill Plateau in those snow belt areas. And then up here towards Buffalo, the heaviest snow still looks like it's just south of town here, but still very impressive on the snow totals. Let's talk about what's happening in the long term because it's cold. I get it. And here's the thing. I think we stay chilly through the week. This pattern is a cold one for the southeast, so that snow that falls probably isn't going anywhere quickly. It's going to take a little while. If anything, we almost see another reinforcing shot of some cold air heading into Friday. To be determined on that. It's certainly not as cold as what we're seeing now, but it's not like we're just blasting back above average. But then things do start to change, and it actually will start to take place up here across Alaska. Look at this trough that starts to dig in. This is going to change what's happening downstream here across the lower 48. This upper low, which is going to be very difficult to forecast at best. Hopefully we'll put some rain and snow here into Southern California, maybe even into the southwest heading into the first part of next week. And now we're dropping our storm track here into the Pacific Northwest, into British Columbia, as our jet stream goes more like this. So that could bring some rain, some snow to the Pacific Northwest. As this trough digs in, what goes down in the west generally starts to go up in the east. So more of a westerly to southwesterly flow here, at least zonal anyway. You're not bringing things straight across the North Pole from Siberia down to the Gulf Coast. So a big weather pattern change, I think, as we head into February. And we could see a decent thaw here for several days. In fact, I think we start to get above average here across the east. Is winter over? Statistically, no. We're just getting into the middle of winter. There's still a lot to go. And I would argue as you head into February, especially into March, now you got to worry about big snowstorms because you get more moisture, you get more energy, more clashing, and it generally taps out that way. If you think about some of the biggest snows that you've seen, it's February and March, usually, especially March. Okay, so more to come on that. We'll be refining that as we go along. I hope you'll subscribe if you're not a subscriber. If you are, all the OGs, thank you guys for coming back. And again, I think February is going to be active. I'm not done forecasting. I think winter is just getting going, and this might be your chance here into the Midwest for maybe some snow as our storm track shifts a little bit to the north. All right, see you next time.